Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Men of Zen, an animation research podcast. My name is Brent.
I'm Phil.
And today, we actually, first and foremost, we should probably talk about, we have a pretty big announcement that's not necessarily anything positive, but not necessarily anything negative either. So, our boy, Aiden, is no longer with us. May his soul rest in peace. Now, he ain't dead. He ain't dead. He's fine. But he's honestly, he's just really busy. He's got a bunch of things in his life that he needs to put his focus more into. That's a little bit more productive than doing a bunch of bullshit with us, I guess. So, which is fine. No, that's totally fine. So he's got a bunch of big stuff going on. He may pop in and out from time to time, but from here on out, you're stuck with me and Phil.
Mm-hmm. This is going to be, the duos, the boys.
Just us.
Tag teaming it.
Oh man, yeah, we're gonna tag teaming this mother. No, so it'll be fine. We wish him luck in all of his future endeavors and hope that he succeeds. But he's got big kid stuff going on, and I've got nothing but time on my hands.
And you know what? Same here. We are a little bit. I don't know where I was going with that. No, in all honesty, yep. Aiden, he'll pop in every once in a while. He's, still obviously a great friend of ours. It's, just the show's got to go on, though.
Yep, but we still got big plans going forward for this podcast. We may have some bigger announcements coming up in the future. I've got things I'm trying to work on in the background, and so does Phil. So we got some shit cooking in the kitchen, and The Rock is smelling it, and he told me it smells pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say it smells pretty spicy.
Yeah, it smelled. I thought it was pretty. He was really nice about it. The Rock was he was here last night. And
great friend of the channel.
Yeah, he came over, busted in through Phil's door, and was like, "Can you smell?" And we were like, "Yeah. Do you want to?" I mean, it smells pretty good, right? And he's like, "Actually, yeah, that smells pretty legit. Can I have some?" I said, "No." "No, you cannot, sir." And he left.
And that's why he won't return our calls anymore.
Yep. But just like that whole story, it was a fairy tale, like we are talking about today. Fairy Tail by Hiro Mashima, a Japanese manga series written and illustrated by Hiro Mashima. It was serialized in Kodansha's weekly Shonen Jump magazine from August 2006 to July 2017, with the individual chapters collected and published into 63 tankobon volumes. Big story. The story follows the adventures of Natsu Dragneel, a member of the popular Wizard Guild Fairy Tail, as he searches the fictional world of Earthland for the dragon Igneel. The manga has been adapted into an anime series produced by A1 Pictures, that's Steak Sauce, Dentsu Inc., was that Satellite? Satellite? Am I saying that right? Am I just dumb?
I think it's Satellite.
Is it Satellite?
I feel like there'd be two L's if it was Satellite.
Is that how I don't know. Yeah, that does make sense. I don't know. The word,
I'm pretty sure also satellite's spelled differently.
I know, right? I'm like, how is that fucking, I don't know. Maybe I'm just dumb. by Satellite Bridge?
We're all dumb.
Yeah, that's true. Also by Cloverworks, which was broadcast in Japan on TV Tokyo from October 2009 to March 2013. A second series was broadcast from April 2014 to March 2016. A third and final series was aired from October 2018 to September 2019. The series has also inspired numerous spin-off manga, including a prequel by Mashima called Fairy Tail Zero, and the sequel storyboard by him titled Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest. Additionally, A1 Steak Sauce Pictures, just kidding, it's A1, has developed 9 original video animations and 2 animated feature films. The manga series was originally licensed for an English release in North America by Del Rey Manga, which began releasing the individual volumes in March of 2008 and ended its licensing with the 12th volume released in September 2010. In December 2010, Kodansha USA took over the North American release of the series. The Southeast Asian Network Animax Asia aired an English language version of the anime for 7 seasons from 2010 to 2015. The manga was also licensed in the United Kingdom by Turnaround Publisher Services, in Australia by Penguin Books Australia, and in Argentina by Editorial Ivrea. I don't fucking know, but also go Argentina. Way to go on that World Cup. I watched that shit. That was rad. That was oh man, that World Cup was a nail biter. It was fucking crazy. So back and forth.
You talk about sports on an anime podcast?
I'm not a sports ball guy, but damn, do I love me some foosball. The anime has been licensed by Crunchyroll for an English release in North America. As of February 2020, Fairy Tail had 72 million copies in print. That's a pretty big number, y'all. I don't know if you saw that, but 72 million. If I had that in dollars, I might not be doing this podcast.
I think you'd still be doing the podcast.
You're probably right.
You'd do it for the love.
I'd be bored as fuck. So this was one that I know Phil was more excited. Well, okay. Originally, I was pretty excited to do this episode because this is a show that I'd tried watching many years ago, probably a decade ago, I would honestly say. It was a long time. I was almost right out of high school from what I remember. Well, maybe a little later. It was probably like around 2010, probably. And, I remember I enjoyed it for the most part, but it was still a pretty big endeavor at the time. Like this anime has got quite a few episodes.
It does. It's actually one of the longer series in circulation. Would you consider it like one of the more popular, we have like the big three in anime,
right.
We had Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece. Yep. And before anybody says anything, yes, Bleach was part of the big three. Get over it.
Oh, it is.
And this obviously came out afterwards, and it was, I think, for a while part of like the new big three for a while, or like people would consider it near, like it's up there with like one of the more popular anime of its time. At least I think so. It was fairly big.
It has that prestige. It has that air about it that it wants to be. But for me personally, this anime just doesn't deliver. I don't know. It's this one was a really weird one where it has the style, it has the flair, it's got the cool characters that a lot of people are already familiar with if you've ever seen any of the other big three or any other shonen manga or anime series. It's got a lot of familiar tropes and stuff. I love the world building that it has. It does have a really expansive like lore to it, which is really nice. The thing that I kind of feel like that it didn't do for me is it's not quite a show for adults. It's really, I don't know, it felt very juvenile in a lot of the way it presents itself. A lot of at least maybe it's just the English dialogue. It feels more like if I was between the ages of 7 and 10, I would have been hella excited to watch this on a Friday or a Saturday and just absorb this really, I would say it's a very simple concept. There's nothing overly complex that comes into it. Now, some of the character designs in terms of like their costumes or what they wear, some of that feels like that's where all of the adult portion comes from, is just in the way some things look. And I can tell that it wants to try to be for adults, but one of the biggest things I can think of that points out that it's more for kids is in the middle of every episode, or is it at the beginning? I can never fucking remember now, where fucking Natsu shows up and he's like, "Hey kids, remember to turn on all the lights and make sure you don't sit too close to the TV." And I'm like,
what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
You don't know.
In the episodes I watched, that's not a thing.
I watched the first 50 episodes.
Where?
Crunchyroll?
Oh, dude.
Or maybe it was Hulu.
I remember watching that on, I want to say on Hulu. Yeah, I think the first time I really watched this was on Hulu, and I do not remember that.
Yeah, it's on every episode.
Huh.
It's like it kind of reminds me of like, something that they are talking to kids, how like adults would always talk to their kids and be like, "Don't sit too close to the TV." Like it just kind of really reinforced the fact that this is meant to be a kids show, which is something that gets often overlooked a lot of times when it comes to anime and manga, where us as adults, we get so absorbed into these shows that it kind of all blurs together, and anime stops being for kids or for adults, and to us it's just anime. But I guess overseas, and it's with like manga and books too, where it's definitely separated into, oh, this is a kids show and this is an adult show, where they have, plenty of series that are like adult only sort of thing, that are more
Right.
of a drama or a more psychological thriller. But over here, it's either seen as all for kids and then people just don't watch it because they're like, oh, that's kids stuff. Or as adults, we just see it as anime. We don't
So-
like care which one it's
Right.
for. It's just if we like it or not.
I think that I'll admit, as I love this series, it's definitely one of my favorite anime of all time. I think that the first good handful of episodes, probably past the first 50, do have a more childish feel to them. As the series progresses, though, the tone changes. In particular, I think right after the Grand Magic Games arc, we have the 9 gates of the demon arc, essentially the nine gates of Tartaros arc. That is a complete tonal shift to the series, in my opinion, where it gets incredibly dark. Actually, more like they start showing off more blood and more like visceral fighting, and that was a huge when that happened. And when I first read that in the manga, I was like, oh, okay, hold on. Someone hit puberty here,
So
because
that's what I feel like needed to have happen, because I feel like I made it to the exact same spot that I did when I tried watching this many, many years ago, where I just got tired or bored of it. And I was like, okay, like this definitely just doesn't hold my interest. So I mean, maybe later I'll try to go back and just skip to where I was or a little bit beyond, but it just, I don't know.
So I'll like I said, I agree. It does start off more friendly, but it does get darker as the series goes on.
Or I
dealing
wish it
with
would
more
have done
adult
that like
themes.
faster. If it had
Yeah.
done it like even around like episode 30 or so, where some of the things that this show leans upon very heavily is flashbacks. Characters have so little character development in this that it is painful. Everything is done by like they'll add a new element or a new thing, or someone will get a new power, and then you're like, wait, when did he get that? Oh wait, here comes the flashback explaining it, because they didn't know how to develop that into the character or have them learn this thing. They don't want to show it to you. They just want to be like, oh, he can fart butterflies out of his butthole now because if you remember, well, I know we didn't show it before, but if you remember, his master a long time ago loved him so much that he blah blah. And I'm like, okay, I mean, I wish that they would have actually developed the characters rather than shoehorn in a bunch of shit and then go, here's a flashback, by the way. And you're like, well, it's not really a flashback. I never saw it before.
So, okay, at least when I'm upon rewatching this, because I didn't watch it like every single episode, one after another. I did kind of skip between different arcs, because I've seen this entire series. I've caught up on the manga. I've watched every bit of material I can on it. So I just want to refamiliar myself with certain things and familiarize. That's the word I didn't use the first time. Words are hard, guys.
Yeah.
The show, I think, at least to me, has a lot of moments that genuinely like hit me in the feels, where the villains, for the most part, not every single villain, mind you, but a lot of times the villains seem like complete assholes. They're evil, and then as the fight goes on with them, like you said, they do a lot of flashbacks, and they start showing like how they got to that point. And this show does a really good job of trying to humanize the villain. Not every villain, but a lot of the villain. Hold on, I'm trying to pull up his name here. I don't want to butcher it. Hiro Mashima wanted for this series is he wanted it to he wanted to make the audience and the readers feel for the villains as well. Be like, oh, okay, shit, they had a horrible upbringing. And to be honest, all the main characters have had a bad past in some ways, and they come together in this guild, Fairy Tail, which seems to be a trend actually, is all their members seem to have a really bad past and a bad upbringing, but come together to form this family. And that's what a big theme of the show is: family, taking care of your family. The guildmaster Makarov sees all of them as his kids, and he puts himself on the line to defend them, like with his life, several times throughout the show.
Yeah.
And you have these people that, sometimes they'll bring in guild members that absolutely hate each other, but then the series goes on, they develop this bond. And I think that the main thing of the show in this manga is just a strong, strong family connection, friendship. And yeah, that can be considered like a childish thing, but the way it's used, the way that theme is used in this show, I really like it.
See, and like I don't think that's so much the issue with like the bond of like friendship and stuff is really prevalent throughout almost every
But this one
anime.
This one does take it a little too far because they use the power of friendship a little too much to win. I'll give it that. You know, Natsu just pulls a win out of his butt because friendship.
Right. Like the show is very guilty of the whole concept of, shoot, my attack didn't work. They'll be like, did you try it again but harder? And he'll be like, you know what? I did not. Let me try that. Be like, hey, this time it worked because I tried harder this time. You're like, wow, they really didn't develop any like new anything. He literally just said, I'm gonna punch it harder this time. And that's, I don't know, it's just kind of a, and in many ways, like this show does have its strengths, but it has quite a few weaknesses too, and it's those weaknesses that don't keep my attention as an adult. Again, if I was younger and had the ability to focus on, I don't want to say garbage, but just focus on right. Well, not even just like a focus, but it's like, I mean, a lot of it feels like it's Pokemon. It leans a little bit too heavily on the whole, you know, I mean, I guess friendship is a pretty big part of it, but I don't know, it just did not grab me the way that I expected it to, being a shonen anime with, again, like the style that it has. Like there's so many cool shonen anime that I do love, and I expected this one to do the same, and it just didn't quite do it. But I did stick through it for about 50 episodes, and right up until then, like I had some fun with it. I thought there were some pretty interesting episodes where a lot of it, at least up until that point, is very episodic. There's not a whole lot that drags on longer than I'd say like 3 episodes. The part that always stuck out to me even before I did this was the episodes where they went to the island of the monster people.
Oh, that was fairly early on, with the demon Deliora.
Yep, yeah, and that was like that again. That's another really good example for me to bring up where it's great, but it falters on its story and its character development, because fucking Gray. So Natsu and Gray, we'll get into some characters here in a minute or two.
I was gonna say, yeah, we should talk about the characters.
Yeah, like Natsu and Gray, they're like the Naruto and Sasuke of the show, where they're bros, but they hate each other, but they need each other, and they rely on each other, but they hate each other. They've got these differences that they have to settle, where Gray is seen as the cool cucumber who is the strong badass that never gets too worked up and keeps his focus on the task at hand. But like that entire 3 or 4 part episode against this monster Deliora, who's this big thing frozen in ice, it has to explain his entire backstory multiple times through flashbacks. I'm like, it would have been cool if they just, I don't know, maybe didn't do that so much, like, or like if they went into even earlier on, like his relationship with his former like trainer or master or whatever their shit was, rather than just do it all through flashbacks. And some of it, like the entire episode was a flashback. I'm like, and it's only like episode 30 by that point. I'm like, why are there so many flashbacks?
So, yes, but you know, Naruto does oh my god. I think Naruto is actually the worst one when it comes to flashbacks, because they do flashbacks so often. You know, in the middle of a fight, they're just like, remember that time? Remember this event that happened that I've already shown you like 10 times? I'm going to do it again.
Yeah.
Because I need you to understand. I need you to really understand in this moment. It's like, no, stop. Fairy Tail does do that.
Yeah.
But I think Naruto is far worse.
Right. Well, the thing that I don't know if I remember Naruto really doing, though, is being like, here's a totally new thing you've never seen before. Now let me show you why it's here. Like, they at least developed to where, like, Naruto has a new power that he learns, and they show all of the training through him learning this. It doesn't do it through a flashback, because like you never saw him do this training, but here's the part where he did do it. Now you know why he has that power. You see him progress throughout the whole show as he learns these things and does these things. But yeah, I mean, it does do a lot of flashbacks. It's flashbacks onto things that you actually watched.
Yeah.
Where this is things, it's totally new content, nothing you ever saw before. in a flashback. And I'm like, that, I don't know. And it just felt kind of weak to me a little bit in some ways, but otherwise I think it's enjoyable. This is one that definitely, it is a big show and it's got a really big following for a reason. But yeah, let's get into a little bit about the plot and characters. Hill. Wow.
Thank you. There's a letter in front of that.
Words here.
Here, I got you, fam. Well, the plot of Fairy Tail, in the world of Earthland, is home to numerous guilds where wizards apply their magic for paid job requests. So essentially, they're all like mercenaries, but they have their home base or their guild.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Natsu Dragneel is a dragon slayer, a type of wizard that uses ancient lost magic. That was taught to them by a dragon, and the only way to learn it is one of the few ways to learn it is being taught by an actual dragon, aka Igneel. He is one of the more famous wizards of Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail overall is one of the most popular, if not the most popular guild in all of the Kingdom of Fiore. Natsu meets a girl named Lucy Heartfilia, and invites her to Fairy Tail. Lucy being a celestial wizard who uses special keys to summon celestial spirits to do her fighting.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, I really
cool
like
premise.
her as a character.
And then, let's see here. Alongside Natsu and Lucy, the cat-like Exceed is the species. It's essentially a small little blue cat with wings that can talk. Natsu's best friend. They form a team to go on quests together, which they also then are joined by four fellow guild members, Grey Fullbuster, an ice wizard, and Urza Scarlet, a magical knight. And eventually, later down the line, Wendy and Carla. Wendy is another dragon slayer, but this time an air dragon slayer.
Ooh.
And her Exceed Carla, little white cat that Happy gets a crush on.
Yep.
The team embark on numerous missions together, which include subduing criminals, illegal dark guilds, and ancient ethereous demons created by Zeref, a wizard a wizard cursed with immortality and deadly power. I really like Zeref. He's super cool, which you really don't get to see him in the first 50 episodes.
Not a ton, no. He starts to get brought up a bit, like around that time.
He doesn't show up until I think season 3. Like, he doesn't make an official appearance until then.
Yeah.
Which there's a lot of backstory with him too, which I want to tell you, but I can't spoil it because you really should watch it, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, like the plot for this is extensive. I read quite a bit of it trying to go forward, and I was like, no, what do I want to try to spoil for listeners? And I'm like, I'm just going to give the core plot up to roughly where I think I Made It is a pretty good stepping stone for getting into this show, where it doesn't give away too much of the plot in terms of the big bad guys and the shit that they have to do and fight, and it does have its really cool moments that I think where there's I would say like the last 10-15 episodes that I ended up watching, or like there's multiple guilds within this Fairy Tail world that for some reason Fairy Tail is seen as the guild that everyone wants to pick on and that everybody hates. Like,
right, like they're popular, but not popular by other guilds.
People want to be in Fairy Tail, but everybody also hates Fairy Tail, and I'm not sure why that is exactly. But they end up getting into like a bunch of guild wars. Cool game, by the way.
Right. Solid game.
And it's, I don't know, it's just kind of interesting, like to think about living in this world. Like, just for some reason you're like, I don't fucking like you guys, I'm gonna fuck you up. And you're like, but I mean, but why? I'd be like, well, because you're fairies. And okay, so this show that's one of the things I kind of forgot about, is everyone who isn't like, that doesn't like Fairy Tail, they just call them fairies. Like, come here, fairy boy. And I'm like, well, that's a little offensive. I don't know why they decided to go ahead and roll with that dialogue, but okay.
Different time.
Yeah,
it's a different time.
Well, I don't even know if it's so much that. Like, I think it's just one of those things where it's not meant to be thought about in that way. I mean, people said it clearly, but it's just really weird that that's what they went with. I don't know. PR. I don't know what that's for, right? So we've got a pretty big cast of main characters.
There's so many characters in this that they focus on, but obviously we got the 5 main characters.
Yeah, so we've got, well, I don't know, I'd say 5, maybe even
5
a few more.
5, 6, 7, yeah.
But Natsu, who is played by Todd, what is that, Habercorn?
Yep.
There is, and he's our main protagonist of this for the most part. He's got like reddish pink kind of hair, wears an interesting. It's not a Gucci
it's like
scarf.
It's a scarf made by from the scales of Igneal.
Oh, really? That's what it is? Okay.
And there's a reason why it's made by that, and why Igneal told him to always wear that scarf too.
Oh, some fancy. I never realized that. I just thought it was a cool fashion accessory. Like it's the one thing in his character that shows a bunch of movement, where like the wind is blowing and it's just his scarf. Like every character's got to have that accessory.
It's like he wears a vest. He wears like parachute pants almost, and like a waist guard. I don't know what that's called, but like he looks like he should be walking around in the desert, but like he wears a scarf too. So it's a very interesting outfit. Urza's
really cool. She's really fun. She's this red-haired battle woman, I guess is what I would call her. Her magic is to like she can change outfits and forms. It gets different weapons and shit.
She has an entire armory of different armors, like magical armor types for depending on the situation, and a huge amount of weapons too. She's got at least over 100 weapons. In her arsenal.
She's one of the more interesting characters for me by far, where she's a badass, she's strong as shit. She can she changes her outfits constantly, specifically because of the situation that she's in, but she feels like she was ripped straight out of Monster Hunter is what 100%. It feels like for me.
Dude, she plays the big sister character in the guild. Her and another guild member, Mira Jane, act like the big sisters for everyone, and it's funny because Natsu and Gray are both scared of her because she is one of the stronger members of the guild. For example, in the guild there's a rating system. Right under the guild master, there have the S-class wizards. Each guild can assign their own S-class wizards, and they can have as many as they want, but Fairy Tail at the time of the series beginning only has 4 S-class wizards, Urza being one of them, Loxus Dreyer, Gildarts Clive, and a mysterious man by the name of Mystagon.
Oh yeah, dude, Mystagon, he's another interesting character. There's Master Markov.
Yep, Makarov is the guild master.
That's the guy. His son is in the guild.
Loxus is his grandson.
Oh, that's right. It's his grandson. He's a fucking asshole. Fuck that guy.
He is at first, absolutely, but
does he change later?
He gets so much better later on. Like he actually gets a character arc and a redemption arc. And
because he's just a giant fucking dick. And I'm like, man, fuck that guy.
he becomes essentially like a big brother to everyone in the guild. Where like he. Spoiler alert, like Brent said, Loxus is kind of a dick to everyone he believes is weaker than him or too weak. He basically considers himself the strongest person in the guild, even above his grandfather, and he just doesn't give a shit about anybody in the guild. He wants to make Fairy Tail like the most popular guild due to sheer strength, but then later on in the series, he starts realizing that he considers everyone in the guild to be his family, and he takes on the same role as his grandfather, where it's like, you hurt someone in my guild, you're fucking dead. He becomes that defender.
Okay, now that's cool. Then I'll try to pick this up again and maybe make it to that arc, because just from what I watched, I'm like, man, just fuck that guy. Urza Scarlet, played by Colleen Clinkenbeard. Before we get too far, and then into a Gray Fullbuster, I would say between like those three, Gray, Urza, and Natsu, they're like, if there was a tri-tagonist, well, no, because that's not true. Lucy's
definitely,
she's really big.
She's definitely one of the main two.
Yeah, but Gray Fullbuster, played by Newton Pickman. Pittman? I said Pikmin? Like the Nintendo game?
Decent game.
Yeah, Newton Pittman. So Gray Fullbuster, he wears pants
occasionally.
And that's like his whole thing. Just so he's an ice wizard, but from his training with his master, he was trained in the ways of this ice magic. She has his trainer, this woman, has to train them to endure the cold to the point where they like don't feel it, and part of like the big training was to not wear a shirt.
Yep.
And so like occasionally he tries to wear a shirt, and then anytime anything even remotely exciting happens, his shirt just no hesitation, the shirt's gone.
Oh yeah, and he doesn't even realize it. He'll just be hanging out, and then all of a sudden they look back at him, and he's completely naked except for boxers. And someone in the guild will be like, "Put some pants on," and he's like, "Wait, how did I get naked?"
Yeah, he doesn't even know. Oh my god, the episode where they all fucking body swap.
Oh god, yep.
That was a good episode. I thought that was great. That one's really fun. There's some magical bullshit that happens that everybody switches bodies, and it's a whole thing. It's really funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and Gray's magic is, we mentioned it's ice, but it's a type of ice. Yeah, it's ice make magic. He essentially makes objects out of ice, whether it be spikes, hammers, swords, cannons,
Ice cubes for your drink.
It's really neat. Like there's a couple different versions of ice make magic, but his is more like stationary stuff and weapons.
He has an interesting backstory with somebody else that trained with him under his master, and this other person that he trains with also clearly has ice make magic, but his ice things are animated.
Yep.
So he can make like, his whole thing is like he'll make like
animals
and just moving shit. So it's pretty interesting. They have this big combat thing, and I guess another portion of this too is like how they perform their magic, where it's something that magic is more stable when you use both hands to do your craft. And was that true for everything, or just more or less that type?
I think for his type, yes, using both hands, because he makes a position with his hands where it's like, something like this, where he takes his open palm, takes his other hand, puts it into a fist, and like presses it against his open palm. That's his position that he takes to summon anything. I'm not sure though I don't know how particular that is or how important it is to use both hands, but at least based on what I've seen, he needs both hands to do it.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was quite a I don't know, just a training thing where it's more stable, or if it's like tradition, or just, I'm not sure. But it was kind of interesting that they do bring that up. So that makes me believe that at some point in the future that'll come up again,
right.
With the whole like hand positioning thing. And it almost kind of reminds me of the whole thing with Full Metal Alchemist, where Ed can just clap his hands and some shit happens and everyone's like, wait, you didn't use a transmutation circle? And he's like, nope, just everybody clap your hands, clap, 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 clap. And he's like, sword, spear, wall, fire, don't care. It doesn't fucking matter. Lucy Heartfilia, the
Duro protagonist.
Yeah,
I
sure.
That's what's called.
The other big female protagonist of this. She reminds me a lot of fucking Nami in One Piece.
Oh, okay. Yep. She's out for popularity and money.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Yeah. Well, so almost not even necessarily money, because she comes from a really wealthy family.
But she wants to get away from it.
Well, that's true. Thing. Yeah. So she does need money, but she doesn't need it. She doesn't want to have to rely on her father's money is really what it is. She ain't about that daddy money. She wants to get her own. And so she has like her own room and shit, and Natsu and the rest of the gang just kind of show up from time to time, and she yells at them to get out of her room, and it's a whole thing. But yeah, like we said earlier, Lucy, played by was it I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher this. Shirami Lee.
I think it's Lei, definitely, but I don't know the first name. We apologize.
Yeah, I don't know. Shirami. That's an interesting name. I'll have to. Hopefully, I didn't fuck that up. I'm sorry if you ever listen to this person.
We mean only respect.
Yeah, but so she's a celestial wizard, and the way she does this is by collecting keys. And these keys kind of like unlock a doorway to summon the thing that the key represents.
Right. You have your standard silver keys, which are kind of like smaller constellation spirits, and then you have the golden keys, which there's only 12 of them, but they summon one of the 12 celestial spirits, like Leo, Cancer, Sagittarius, the list goes on.
All the different astrology sign stuff. And like the silver ones, you can just kind of go down to a shop and buy. And like you can almost get them at like a vending machine if you really like,
Right.
if there was a Gashapon machine or something of these keys where, so the silver ones are not necessarily weak, but they're almost more for utility purposes. Like, and you summon this thing, and the thing that you summon, you have to somehow make a pact with this thing, or this animal, or this person. And some of them, like, you don't control them by any means. It's just a matter of, do they agree with you or do they not agree with you when you summon them? Did they want to be summoned? Could they pencil you in on their schedule? It like, really, there's a bunch of shit that goes on. Which one was the cow?
That was Taurus.
Like, he's fucking hilarious.
Oh, dude, Taurus is horny as hell.
He's the fucking best.
I get it. Pun intended. He's horny. He loves being summoned by Lucy. He's one of Lucy's, OG spirits.
Yep.
He constantly, with the way he talks too, he's like, "You better get a move on."
He does a bunch of moo puns. I'm like, oh my god.
And he attacks with the battle axe. It's great. Leo is probably one of my favorite celestial spirits that she uses.
Oh yes,
He's
and
super
I don't
cool.
want to say anything about that, but that's a cool story,
Right?
That was one of the more interesting parts.
Deep stories in this childlike show.
I wouldn't even say that's quite I wouldn't even say it's a deep story, but it's a twist I did not see.
Yep.
That was, I was truly like, you would have no fucking idea that entire time.
Yep.
Wow, that was cool. I was really impressed with that.
And then we have the final main character, Wendy Marvel, and her cat Carla, who Wendy is a dragon slayer similar to Natsu. And we didn't really talk about a whole lot of Natsu's abilities, but dragon slayers overall control one particular type of element. They're able to manifest it through their bodies. Natsu being fire, Wendy being air. Dragon slayers can actually eat their element in order to increase their power, and are typically unaffected by their element in battle unless it happens to be like a weird type of that element, if that makes sense. Later down the line, Natsu fights against someone who uses a particular type of fire magic that he cannot eat. Because its properties are above considered dragons.
No, he also can't like consume his own.
He cannot consume his own to replenish his strength, but a lot of times Natsu will eat fire in the middle of a battle to increase his own power. And it could be just simple as like little torch or a little tiny mini fire. He'll just eat that and all of a sudden get a huge power boost.
all fired up.
Yep, that's his catchphrase. Wendy can essentially breathe in air, like bigger amounts of air, to increase her powers. But because air is so prevalent, she doesn't get a huge power boost. It's just a little mini one. But it's just something she can use to recover small bits of damage.
That's kind of funny.
Right.
Like,
and there's a lot of dragon slayers in this show. Like, you don't even know, man.
Yeah.
There's, we got fire, wind, iron, poison, light, shadow, lightning. Oh my god, it just goes on. There's so many dragon slayers. And it's funny because this is a lost magic, but there's so many different variations and so many different users of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of makes it less, it doesn't seem as special anymore later down the line.
Right.
But I love dragon slayer magic. It's great.
Gajiel he's pretty fucking cool, honestly. He was one of my favorite characters right off the bat, where he's one that he starts off as an enemy and then kind of becomes an ally and does some shit later. But he's the steel or iron
dragon slayer. So if Natsu and Gray are like Naruto and Sasuke, Natsu and Gajiel are definitely Goku and Vegeta.
Yep. I would totally, I totally see that. That's awesome. There, he's a cool character. He's just a badass through and through. He's the guy that just fucking tells you to suck it up and don't be a little bitch and just fucking do the shit that you need to do, get it fucking done. And he just puts all of his effort into everything. He's a cool character.
He also likes jazz and performing jazz guitar. It's pretty funny.
That's funny as shit.
But Brent, talk to us about Hiro Mashima, the artist and author.
Well, actually, I think right before we get to Hiro Mashima, we're going to take a quick break and hear a little bit about our partner, and I think we will be right back.
Oh, yeah. Hey guys, Phil here. I want to take a brief break from our episode to talk about our partner, Dubby Energy. Dubby was voted America's tastiest gaming energy drink of 2022. It has nootropics, that healthy stuff, Vitamins, we all need those. No sugar, 0 calories, no artificial colors, and no maltodextrin. You know what that is, because I don't. But hey guys, check out their website, w.gg. Use our discount code Men of Zen for 10% off your order. Check out some of the new flavors like Dove Sludge, Galaxy Grenade, and Peachin' Beachin' Peachin'. Thank you so much for checking us out. Back to the episode.
All right, so let's get right back into this with Hiro Mashima, the man himself who has done many different shows, actually, and they've been pretty wildly successful, almost on all of them. Born May 3rd, 1977, is a Japanese manga artist. He gained success with his first serial, Rave Master, published in Kodansha's Weekly Shonen magazine from 1999 to 2005. I tried to find this show, and it doesn't exist on the internet anymore. There's one website that does exist that has, some of the places that I cannot mention due to its illegality, but I'm sure you could find it if you look for it. The site kept going down over the entire the last 2 or 3 weeks while I was even doing this, and I couldn't find it. There is some on YouTube, and some of the shittiest quality video you could imagine, with horrible audio. I think I tried to watch it for about 10 minutes, and it's like trying to watch a show on the fucking, do you remember the Virtual Boy?
Oh, yeah.
It's like if they tried to figure out a way to put video onto that piece of shit. It's, oh my god, it's awful. The audio is terrible, unwatchable. I couldn't. But honestly, I was reading the synopsis about Rave Master, and that sounds really cool. So I'm honestly still trying to find it. I would love to try to watch some of this. So his best-selling work, Fairy Tail, published in the same magazine from 2006 to 2017, became one of the best-selling manga series with over 72 million copies in print. Mashima began currently the ongoing Eden Zero in 2018, and that's another one I've heard a bunch of really good things about. And just with I'm super far ahead on our show in terms of what shows we have lined up. I just went on a fucking binge and just beelined it through all the next upcoming shows for the next month and a half.
Oh yeah, next 3 episodes for sure.
Yeah, so that's one that I'll definitely try to catch up on. Eden Zero. Fairy Tail won the Kodansha Manga Award for Shonen Manga in 2009, and Mashima was given the Harvey Awards International Spotlight Award in 2017 and the FAV Special Award in 2018 at the dear God,
Angulami
and Angoulême International Comics Festival. They need to fucking chill it with these weird ass names, man.
We're only human.
Mashima stated that he knew he wanted to be a manga artist for as long as he can recall. His father was an artist that aspired to turn professional, but died when Mashima was young. Living in the mountains as a child, his grandfather would bring him discarded manga that he found. After reading them, Mashima would draw from them. In middle school, he began to rebel and get into trouble, but still drew every day. In between his times of being a shithead, he's like, I'm gonna do some drawing for a little bit and be good. In high school, he became a guitarist in a rock band named Night Meeting.
Huh.
Hell yeah, dude. Fucking
dude,
rock
that's amazing.
on, bro. Right? So there's still hope for me. They played a show every 2 or 3 months.
Oh, wow.
Mashima was eventually indefinitely suspended from school due to his delinquency.
Damn.
And after reflecting during this time away, decided he would try to make it as a professional manga artist. Wow.
What a backstory. Can't wait to see the flashback on that.
Oh my god, what the fuck? I wish I could be that cool, to just too cool for school, quite literally, and then goes on to be this fucking successful and is like, see kids, you don't need school. Fuck school.
Just throw him up there with oh my god, Mark Zuckerberg and
draw
Bill
cartoons.
Gates and all that.
Just play rock, smoke drugs, do pot, play guitar, be good at drawing. He moved to Tokyo after graduating high school. He entered a school specializing in teaching manga artists, but left without completing the studies. Again, he stated that while it taught him the basics, he felt it would not help him as a professional. In 1998, Mashima created the one-shot manga Magician while working part-time at an arcade. dude, this guy lived the fucking life.
Dude,
And
for real.
he entered it into a competition held by Kodansha Weekly Shonen. While waiting for the results, his one-shot Bad Boys song was published in August 1998. When Magician was published in 1998's 51st issue of Weekly Shonen magazine, it won the Rookie Prize and earned Mashima around $7,000. He made his official serialization debut the following year with Rave Master in Weekly Shonen magazine. It ran until 2005 and was adapted into an anime titled Groove Adventure Rave from 2001 to 2002. In 2003, he collected some of his one-shot titles into the 2-volume Hiro Mashima's Playground, which was licensed for a North American release in 2018. After completing Rave Master, Mashima serialized Monster Soul in the monthly magazine Comic Bomb Bomb from 2005 to 2007. Mashima began Fairy Tail in the Weekly Shonen magazine in 2006, and it went on to become one of the most best-selling manga series in history. With 72 million copies, again, as we mentioned earlier. It spawned a large franchise, including numerous spin-offs and adaptations before ending in 2017. In 2011, Mashima created a crossover manga between Rave Master and Fairy Tail, published in the May issue of Weekly Shonen magazine. Now, this is something that we haven't brought up, and I don't remember if I wrote this down before, but he has his series, the 3 that he has now, the big 3 he's got between Fairy Tail, Rave Master, and Eden Zero, they both have characters that cross over between all series.
Right.
Happy is in Rave Master.
And Eden Zero.
And Eden Zero. Same with Plu. Plu is in Eden Zero. No, wait, maybe he was Rave Master.
Plu's in Rave Master and Fairy Tail.
Plu he's funny. He's one of Plu's a celestial spirit that Lucy obtains, and he's like this cute little like snowman guy. He's really funny. I really enjoyed him. He's cute. Like she'll summon him, and he's like super shy. And if he ever tries to attack anything, he'll just run at it really slow and kind of throw little knobby fists at something. He doesn't actually do anything, but he's almost more of a pet than anything. But he loves to be included.
Right. You know, that's a crazy thing that he does in all of his series. Like we said, Happy is in all 3 series, but he's different. For example, Fairy Tail, he's a race of flying cats. Yep. And then in Eden Zero, he is a robot.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah.
Huh. So, this was adapted into an original video animation released in August 2013.
Yep.
A special 2013 issue of Weekly Shonen magazine featured a small crossover between Fairy Tail and Nakaba Suzuki's The 7 Deadly Sins, where each artist drew a yonkoma, or a 4-panel comic of the other's series. An actual crossover chapter between these two ran in December 2013, from July 17th, 2014 to July 17th, 2015. Fairy Tail had its own monthly magazine titled Monthly Fairy Tail Magazine, which included a prequel manga by Mashima himself titled Fairy Tail Zero. It was in 2014 that 3 spin-offs were started. Fairy Tail Ice Trail by Yusuke Shirato, Fairy Tail Blue Mistral by Rui Watanabe, and Fairy Girls by Boku. Another spin-off manga titled Fairy Tail Side Stories and created by Kyoto Shibano launched on July 30th, 2015 in Kodansha's free magazine Pocket mobile app. On July 25th of 2018, Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest began on Magazine Pocket as the official sequel to Fairy Tail. Mashima provides the original storyboards for the manga that is illustrated by Atsuo Ueda. At the end of 2021, Mashima approached Kodansha Game Creators Lab to hold a contest looking for a video game proposal based on Fairy Tail, with the winning work receiving $132,000. $88,000 of which came from Mashima himself. The games would be created for platforms such as Steam, iOS, and Android, and Kodansha will distribute the winner to be decided in April 2022, with the profits shared between Kodansha and the developers. While creating Fairy Tail, Mashima serialized Monster Hunter Orage, an adaptation of the Monster Hunter video game in Monthly Shonen Rival from 2008 to 2009. Also in 2008, he drew a remake of Atsushi Kase's gag manga Chameleon for the 50th anniversary of the Weekly Shonen magazine. Mashima's Japanese-style epic fantasy one-shot Hoshigami no Satsuki was published in the September 17th, 2014 issue of Weekly Shonen magazine. Mashima became the series, well, he did. It's true, he just became manga, and that's it. That's the end of him. He began the series Eden Zero in Weekly Shonen magazine on June 27th, 2018. From October to December 2019, he created the miniseries Mashima's Heroes in Weekly Shonen magazine for its 60th anniversary. It is a crossover between the three series Rave Master, Fairy Tail, and Eden Zero.
Yep.
Mashima drew a one-shot manga adaptation of the video game Dragon Quest XI's Echoes of an Elusive Age for the October issue of Shueisha's V-Jump. Now, I don't know, is that supposed to be Shueisha's 5-Jump? I would just assume V-Jump. That's their kind of shtick.
Yeah.
Magazine, which was released on August 21st, 2019. On December 17th of 2021, Mashima announced that he was developing an Eden Zero video game by himself using RPG Maker.
Ooh.
Right? Really, like... I've tried using some really old RPG Maker shit, like way back on the PlayStation, and my god, it was archaic. I'm sure it's much better now.
Right.
Describing it as a hobby project that he worked on in his free time, he released Rebecca Kikai no Yokon for free on PC on March 16th of 2022. Mashima listed Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball as his favorite manga growing up, the video game series Dragon Quest, and Yude Tamago's Kinnikuman, which is another one we've brought up before, as inspiring him to become an artist. He also watched several works by Hayao Miyazaki as a child. Damn straight he did. Hayao Miyazaki is one I'd love to get to. But in 2008, when asked if there was any current things that inspired him, he gave Code Geass. Is that how you say that?
I think so. Code Geass.
I feel like that's how that was, right? As a response, in 2011, Berserk was stated to be his favorite manga. Damn,
wow.
The man is a man of culture. Mashima speculated his desire to include strange and surreal mascot characters in his work, such as Happy was influenced by Utsurun Desu author Sensha Yoshida. He also said he finds the visual contrast that such characters bring beautiful. For Rave, Mashima's inspiration was wanting to travel the world, while for Fairy Tail, it was simply sitting in bars and partying with his friends. The community aspect, but is also about young people finding their calling. He stated that while he tries to consider both his own interests and the fans on what will happen next in Fairy Tail, the fans take precedence. Mashima named his main characters after the seasons. In Rave, the main character is named Haru, which is Japanese for spring. In Fairy Tail, the main character is Natsu, which is the Japanese word for summer. In Monster Soul, the main character is Aki, or autumn, while both Monster Hunter Orage and Eden Zero have a character named Shiki, which is the Japanese word for seasons. He also named a character in Fighting Force Mixture Fuyu, which is a Japanese for winter. Mashima said in an About.com interview that he did this because Japanese readers may not be familiar with Western fantasy names. The main characters of both Rave and Fairy Tail do not have fathers, partly taken from Mashima's own experience of his father dying from when he was young. There's not a whole lot left of this. The man's he's got so much shit we had to cover. Sorry, so we're just blasting through this. Mashima had 6 assistants in 2008 that worked in an 8,000 square foot area with 7 desks, as well as a sofa and a TV for video games.
Nice.
Gotta have the fucking essentials, man. More sofas and then like one small TV. Get the fucking bros around, play some Smash Bros.
Get the N64 out, boys.
Hell yeah.
We relaxing.
He revealed that his schedule for Fairy Tail was scripted and storyboards on Monday, rough sketches the following day, and drawing and inking Wednesday through Friday. The weekend was for Monster Hunter, working on a quarter of the story each weekend and finishing by the end of the month. In 2011, he stated that he worked 6 days a week for 17 hours a day. Hot damn. When did he ever have time to play that Smash Bros?
Never.
When did he have time to play Monster Hunter? Never, apparently. Mashima's assistants included Miki Yoshikawa, who had gone on to work on the romantic comedies Yankee-kun and Megami-chan, or Flunk Punk Rumble, and Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches. In 2008, together they developed a crossover one-shot called Fairy Megane, where characters from Yankee-kun decide to find part-time jobs at the Fairy Tale Guild.
Nice.
Other assistants who have gone on to work on projects of their own were Shin Mikuni, who published Spray King, and Ueda Yui, who published Tsukishi Biori.
Oh boy, that's a lot.
Yeah, man, the guy is busy.
And you know what? We got a little bit more for you guys talking about the production of Fairy Tail. After finishing his previous work, Rave Master, Hiro Mashima found the story sentimental and sad at the same time. So he wanted the storyline for his next manga to have a lot more fun. His inspiration for the series was sitting in bars and partying with friends, like we said earlier. He also described the series as being about young people finding their calling, such as a job. Mashima drew a one-shot titled Fairy Tail that was published by... This is Fairy Tail being T-A-L-E, not T-A-I-L. Difference. Was published in a magazine Fresh on September 3rd, 2002, which served as a pilot. Mashima's later concept for the serialized version involved Natsu as a fire-using member of a courier guild who carries various things on assignments. Mashima then came up with the idea to have different types of wizards hanging out in one place, and eventually coerced his editor into allowing him to change the concept to a wizard guild. The title was changed from Tale to Tale in reference to the tale of a fairy, which the author said may or may not prove to be a pivotal point. Mashima stated that while he tried to consider both his interest and the interest of the fans, that what would happen in the next Fairy Tail, the fans took precedence. What a man.
He knows.
What a guy.
That's how it should be. Fans need to, you really do need to put fans first in a lot of things anymore, especially if you want to keep their interest.
Exactly.
Take the hint, Bandai.
We can go on a whole spiel about that. In the period between Rave Master and Fairy Tail, all but one of Mashima's assistants left, and the artist said making sure that the 3 new ones knew what to do was the hardest thing throughout the first year of serialization. Mashima described his weekly schedule for creating individual chapters of Fairy Tail in 2008. Script and storyboard written on Monday, rough sketches and following inking were done Wednesday through Friday. And then essentially working on Monster Hunter Orage on the weekends. For the characters of the series, Mashima drew people he had known in his life, and establishing the father-son relationship between Natsu and Igneel. Mashima cited his father's death when he was a child as an influence. He took Natsu's motion sickness from one of his friends who got sick when they take a taxi together. When naming the character, the author thought Western fantasy names would be difficult, so he used the names of the following seasons. He based the humorous aspects of the series on his daily life and jokes his assistants would make. That's actually really cool. When thinking about how his father dying early on was a huge example or a huge influence on the series. Looking back on it, yeah, absolutely can see it.
Yeah.
The relationship between Natsu and Igneel is very important, and it pays off in a huge way later on. And I can't talk about that with you because you haven't seen it yet.
No.
But it's so good. It's really good.
And I remember you talking about that in the long ago when it was still being aired or still being written. That I remember you were pretty psyched about that. So that's cool that maybe it does get better. Just like I said, those first, I don't know, just to where I got, with the time that I had, I was like, that's enough.
Yeah, looking at the list of episodes 1 through 50, seeing where you probably left off, it also does get a little slow after that. I think the season after that's a little slow, but season 4 really picks up. It doesn't really
pick up, because there's almost no major plot point.
Season 3 is mostly filler. Yeah, season 3 mostly is filler, unfortunately, which this show does have filler, but It does kind of play into some things that are in the main canon, so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But you get to meet Gildarts at the end of season 3, though.
Oh yeah, that's a name I remember hearing.
Gildarts is oh my god. Let me just tell you about Gildarts real quick. So like we talked about earlier, in the guild, you have your S-class mages. Gildarts is considered like the strongest. He's even stronger apparently than the Guildmaster.
Oh.
Who already is part of a 10-member group called the Heavenly Wizard Saints that are considered the 10 strongest wizards in all of Fiore, on the entire continent of Ishgard. He's not specifically stated what place he is, but he's part of the top 10, and he's considered an incredibly powerful wizard. But apparently Gildarts is stronger than he is. So that's really freaking cool. And Gildarts has this laid-back mentality about him, and he kind of plays like a second father to Natsu in a way, because he helped raise him and teach him how to fight, and helps train him later on, too. And what's funny is his design shares a lot of similarities with Shanks from One Piece.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's got the scars, the slick back red hair. He wears a similar like cape too, and it's pretty neat. But yeah, Gildarts is definitely one of my favorite characters of the show because his whole thing is he's so freaking powerful, and he doesn't know how to control it exactly. He's a giant goofball, but when he gets serious, he gets serious.
So you reminded me of something we were talking about with Master Makarov, that guy. He's like this really teeny tiny old man. He's really small.
Yep.
Knowing that Akira Toriyama with like Dragon Ball is one of his favorite series, it almost makes me wonder if he wasn't in some way modeled after Master Roshi.
Oh yeah,
because like he
uses giant magic.
Yeah, his main magic is he gets big, like as a really teeny tiny guy. And I mean, he's really strong as it is, especially when he does that whole thing where he's like, I invoke fairy law or some bullshit.
Yeah, fairy law. We can talk about that.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, Makarov uses his main ability, giant magic, which he can become a huge, towering individual or increase certain body parts like his arm, legs, so he can stomp on people, or his just torso, so he can be used as a shield. He uses light magic, which includes one of 3 spells that only fairy tale wizards know, and they're passed down and it's kept between members of this guild. One of them being fairy law, and it's probably the strongest spell the entire guild has. Its ability, and this is going to be kind of a weird way of phrasing it, its ability is that it targets any person that the caster considers a threat, but it completely is harmless to anyone in the same vicinity that he considers an ally or a loved one.
Yeah.
So he could use it in a room full of his guild members and one enemy, and it will only affect that one enemy. And essentially, it's not. I'm trying to find the right words here. It targets that one enemy or several enemies, and it just kind of completely either drains them of their energy and knocks them out, or it turns them into stone. It's just, it kind of just, the outcome is dependent on what needs to be done in a weird way.
Yeah.
But I love the theme of it, where like he squats, he puts his hands together, and you just hear this bell toll.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
the bell tolls.
Yeah, you just know, like when you hear that bell toll, you're like, oh shit, like that's the bell to your death.
Bring out your dead. Ding.
But Gildarts uses crash magic, which essentially allows him to break down, smash anything in his path. He's so powerful, and this magic is so hard for him to control. He actually, the entire town where Fairy Tail is located has this weird ability to reconfigure itself to create a giant walkway for Gildarts to walk from outside the city to the guild hall safely, where he doesn't damage or destroy other people's property or belongings just by him walking through the town. It's funny because when they first show this off, they're like, why does a city have to be completely remodeled only when Gildart shows up, they're like, yeah, we don't need him breaking everything, just walking here. And of course he still does, because he walks through the wall of Fairy Tale instead of the door.
Oh, God.
And he's like, oh, whoops. I thought that was the door.
I mean, oh, yeah.
Pretty much. He's the Kool-Aid guy in Fairy Tale. There's also a scene where Natsu attempts to, blast him with a fireball, huge fireball. He literally just holds his hands out and he dissects the fireball into tiny little cubes, and it just falls apart around him and then just fizzles out. There's a scene between him and Natsu fighting where like he's the test for Natsu to advance to the next level, become an S-class wizard, and he throughout the entire fight he doesn't move. He stands in one spot, and Natsu is like hitting him with everything, including his biggest attack, and he just stands there
You mean his stronger
fireball moves. But his whole thing is not to use his fire, but like he comes at him with like a bunch of strong attacks through up until that moment, has beaten every single opponent, including a former member of the 10 Wizard Saints. And Gildart's just like doesn't move. And when Natsu realizes that he hasn't moved, he loses all sense of like desire to fight him, and he just comes into this pit of despair. He's like, I'm nowhere near strong enough to even make him like have to move an inch. It's insane. And basically Gildart's, when he shows up, he wins. There's just he likes to travel throughout the country. In fact, at one point he's actually given the title of Guildmaster. After Makarov retires, he literally takes the title, writes a letter to Makarov giving him back the title, and then leaves. And so Makarov is the 3rd Guildmaster, the 5th Guildmaster, and the 7th.
Wow. What the fuck?
He keeps giving the title away, and they keep giving it back to him.
Weird.
But yeah, sorry, I can talk about Gildarts all day. He's just a badass. Loxus is a badass. Mystagon is a badass with him using... He fights with magic staves. He fights entirely with them. He carries like 10 of them on his back. And you saw the fight between him and Loxus. Because that's within the first 50.
Yeah, I feel like I did.
Where no one knows anything about Mystagon because he puts everyone to sleep when he comes to the guild to get missions, and then he walks in, he puts them all to sleep. He walks in, grabs a mission off the board, leaves, and everyone wakes up and they're like, ah, damn it, Mystagon was here, wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't know if I ever actually saw him in that time, but I remember that happening where like they bring him up a handful of times.
Where he's considered at that point one of Fairy Tale's strongest, wizards, because he's an S-class, but no one knows anything about him.
That's funny.
Then you have, Urza, who is the Magic Knight, Loxus, who we find out... Loxus uses electricity and lightning spells, and he's incredibly powerful, where it takes, at one point, Natsu and Gajil fighting together to even, have a chance to take him down.
The only thing that he's missing is a Raichu.
Oh, man. Dude, he's the fucking Lieutenant Surge.
He's Lieutenant Surge.
He's, taller than almost every member of the guild. A hulking man. Yeah, dude, there's so many really cool characters in this show. So many good characters.
And that is one of the big pluses about this, is that it has some really cool characters. They just aren't, at least again, from what I watched, the development isn't there for many of them. But once you're past the point of you no longer need development, I think the characters are cool enough to stand on their own. It just takes a while to get there.
Right. There is one thing, and I've been singing a lot of praise about this show. There is one thing actually that I think is kind of lazy, but I think it's just the theme of the show. Every time they beat an enemy, they hype up the enemy like, oh, he's incredibly powerful. They're one of the strongest wizards around. They get beat, and then the next enemy shows up, and it's far stronger than the previous one. But there's not a whole lot of time gap between the two. So, there's no time for training, but every enemy they beat, they always get stronger. And then the next one shows up, and they're beating their ass, and then they get no, I'm not done. And then they win.
Yeah.
And they just repeatedly do that to a point where they actually get to the point where they fight we get to see in action the 5 strongest wizards in the entire continent, the top 5 members of the 10 Wizard Saints. Through storyline, not going into a lot of details, the number 1 wizard, he defects, and at one point the other 4, numbers 5 through 2, have to come in and stop him. Number 1 beats 5 through 2 without breaking a sweat.
Huh.
Off screen, mind you. So like we expect this to be like, oh man, we're gonna see this awesome fight, between the top 5, all 5 members of the strongest 5 in the continent, and it happens off screen, and they all get their butt kicked, and number 1's like, that was easy. That's such a
These guys were even shit, bro. I was eating a sandwich.
His powers are freaking ridiculous, though. I'll tell you about it later. But but then, like, around the time that this happens, he is part of an organization of 11 other wizards who, according to him, are around the same power as him from a different continent. So it's like, wait a minute, hold on. The strongest wizard in our continent, apparently, according to ranks, can beat the other 5 easy. But then he's just as powerful as these 11 other members of an organization from a different continent. This same wizard then makes an appearance in a different continent. Same guy, same number 1 wizard. Mm-hmm. He becomes part of another guild. And he says, oh, yeah, there's members of my guild that make me look weak. And it's like, holy shit, like, the power gap gets higher and higher and higher.
It's Dragon Ball, the Akira Toriyama effect.
Well, see, Akira Toriyama does it better because you actually see, like, there's training in between. There's barely any training between these shows, between these villains. And the power scaling just goes higher and higher each time. And it's insane.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane.
Training aside, though, even with, like, Akira Toriyama stuff, it's always like, I'm the strongest man in the galaxy. And then they beat him, and they're like, someone else who's like, he lied, I'm the strongest man in the galaxy. You're like, how come we've never heard of you before? And be like, well, I was on vacation. Or some bullshit. And then, like, he gets beat, and they're like, I'm the strongest in the galaxy. Like, well, where were you the whole time?
Yeah.
Sleeping? Like, just nobody knows about these guys that are supposedly the strongest in the galaxy until it gets just unfathomable to the point where, like, the entire universes are obliterated with a single stroke of your hand. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. This is not even really like a spoiler. The number 1 wizard is his magic. His nickname is Dragon Hybrid, or Hybrid Theory is his title.
Lincoln, they call me Lincoln Park.
I didn't even realize that. But his ability is that he is a dragon slayer. But he has powers of 8 different dragons.
Holy shit.
And the reason why he has the power of 8, he was not trained by 8 different dragons. In this world, there are 2 ways to become a dragon slayer. 1, you are trained by a dragon, and 2, you are implanted with what's called a dragon lacrima, a crystal that has the embodiment and power or soul of a dragon.
Huh.
And this guy, normally 1 dragon lacrima could kill you, but this guy has 8 dragon lacrimas.
Jesus Christ.
So he somehow has the ability to wield 8 different dragon powers, and he just uses them in combination with each other to just wreck shit. Mm-hmm. And that's fucking ridiculous. Like, no wonder he's a badass, and he's the number 1 wizard. And it was just, we were waiting so long to figure out, like, what could the number 1 wizard have? Like, what can he do? What's his power set? And we found out, oh, he's a dragon slayer on steroids. Like,
Jesus,
man has 8 powers. That's insane.
Holy fuck, that sounds super OP. Jesus Christ.
And he gets his shit wrecked by the final big bad of the entire series. He literally gets one-shotted by the big bad of the entire original Fairy Tail series, besides Zareth, which I'm not going to go into that one, but he gets one-shotted, and then you're like, oh, we have to beat that guy? Oh no.
Oh no.
Which, I mean, spoiler alert, they do, because the series ends on a happy note, but it's just insane what happens in that show. But
Holy
overall,
crap.
like I said, that's the one downside I have about this series, is that the power scaling gets ridiculous, even more so than Dragon Ball, I feel like.
Yeah.
How many leaps and bounds.
Especially if it's all just on the job training. Like,
right.
They don't really have, like you said, they don't really train in between, so
They just seem to get strong enough to beat that boss, and then just to get to the next boss. It's Also, can we talk about how horny this guy Hiro Mashima is?
He did say in an interview that I watched that he does like a lot of the female characters,
I wonder why.
or just like drawing female characters was like his thing.
Every woman in this show is drawn incredibly gorgeous and redonkulously stacked. More stacked than a can of Pringles. Like every woman has the same body type. Is tall and just curvaceous. That's the best way I can phrase that.
If you're gonna draw something, draw what you love.
And fair. And there's a lot of there is a lot of plot, like little moments where like, oh, there's a butt, oh, there's a incredibly huge view of boobs in this show, and Lucy unfortunately takes a lot of the brunt of it, where like she's put in situations where she's naked and Natsu's on top of her, or Natsu grabs her chest because he doesn't understand, like, oh, boobs, okay, cool, what are these? Natsu doesn't give a shit, but like
even
she
like
does.
One of the early, not necessarily villains, but they're supposed to do a quest to go steal a book from some wizard, but the way that they get into this wizard's like house is that he has a thing for stacked blonde chicks.
Oh, yep.
And that's like, and they're like, who do we know that could possibly fit that? And everyone like looks at Lucy and she's like, yeah. But Lucy's also like, for the most part, I don't want to say she's arrogant. She's confident.
She knows she's attractive.
Right.
She tries to use her feminine wiles to get what she wants.
But this guy is like, you ain't shit. I've seen better looking chicks. She gets all depressed about it. It's funny as shit.
Urza also has a kind of a lewd side to her.
Yeah.
She constantly fantasizes about her childhood crush, and she actually has an armor set that's called the seducing armor, where it's literally just her in a black thong and a apron, no top, and she's got a sword with a heart meter on it.
Nice.
And she's thought about using it to like seduce male enemies, but she's like, oh no, I can't wear that.
Seduce me.
That suit is too revealing.
Wow.
And Urza also does not give a shit about taking baths with Natsu and Gray. Like, they will bathe together, and Lucy's like, what the hell? Like, you can't do that. And they're just like, oh, we grew up together. We grew up like this.
Oh, yeah,
so,
no, it's totally fine.
yeah. I mean, see, the thing is, like, Gray and Natsu don't care.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever. Like, Urza's naked, whatever.
What else is new?
Yeah, they don't care. Oh, God. And I know we're running out of time here. There's just so much to talk about this show.
Yeah.
There's so much.
You're good. And there's more, but yeah, like you said, we're kind of running out of time. So that's probably about all the time that I think we will have for today's episode. Do you have anything else you want to add real quick before we finish this?
Quick little fun facts. I just thought you would all appreciate this. Originally, Lucy was meant to use cards as her abilities instead of keys.
Like Card Captor Sakura.
Yeah, similar to that. Originally, Gray was meant to be an ice dragon slayer. But he decided to change that, and later down the line, Gray does get a power-up. He actually, without any context, he becomes a type of slayer. He gains access to a type of slayer magic. Not dragon, though, but really cool. There are different types of slayer magics in this world that are also on par with dragons. Some are even stronger. Let's see. Originally, Gray was going to tie into Ravemaster, where Gray's necklace actually is very similar to Haru's sword that he carries around, like a sword necklace. He actually was going to say, hey, this is a it was actually going to be from that show where they're going to connect the two worlds together. So that was pretty neat. Urza was literally made up on the fly. Like, she was not going to be in the show until the very last minute. And what was something really cool I saw here? Natsu originally was going to have horns, but they decided to not really make him that much of a dragon. Overall, there's so much I could talk about. Fairy Tail's world and lore is so huge that I feel bad that we're ending it here, but I think the show is fantastic. It definitely is one of those shows that, give it time. The first 50 or so episodes are more childish, but it does get into a lot of darker storylines and darker themes that really blew my mind when I first saw it. So I highly recommend this series as a whole. I want to get the Fairy Tail tattoo. That's another thing. Every guild member has a tattoo of their guild symbol, and I want to get that one day.
It kind of reminds me of like a chocobo on fire.
You know what? You're not wrong. I can definitely see that. Beyond that, all the crossovers that Hiro Mashima does with the series, like Rave Master, Eden Zero. Haru actually does live in Fairy Tail's world. He throws Haru in a lot of different scenes in the manga and anime.
Oh yeah.
But he's always in the background. He's always a background character. It's just the world that the show. I love how he loves to just take characters from his different shows and put them into his other shows, and then have similar designs. Every one of his shows has a very similar premise. One guy, one girl traveling around, saving people and completing missions together. That's essentially his premise. And they all have very similar themes, very similar personalities. It's just, let's just take, for example, Eden Zero. It's just Fairy Tail, but in the future and in space.
Wow.
That's really what it is. But I really do recommend you giving this another shot, Brian. Going past it, past episode 50, it's really good. It really is good. I love this show. It's made me tear up several times. It's that good.
So currently, and this is really weird, currently Google Reviews has Fairy Tail sitting at a 4.8 out of 5, which it has like almost nothing but overwhelming just success of the fans for this show and how much they love it. Now the first thing that jumps out at me, which is really funny, and I will read one of these, but I have a very strange call out for some of these reviewers. What the fuck is your guys' problem? So I will read simultaneously the first 3 reviews written by 3 different people. Hear me out here. The review is best anime ever. Fairy Tail, best anime ever. It was the perfect combination of comedy, action, and friendship. I love how Natsu feels like the bind between him and the rest of Fairy Tail is far stronger than any blood relationship. I love that Lucy is one of the guild's smartest members for her magic, her determination, and how she's one of the few members who can prevent Natsu from going on a rampage. I like how Gray acts like he hates Natsu, but Natsu is his little brother that he always argues with how much he cares for Juvia. Urza is actually one of my favorite Fairy Tail characters. She is very strong, nice, and terrifying, so it makes her a cool and humorous character. I also love other characters like Mira Jane. She's sweet and at the same time deadly. It's also funny how Elfman is always screaming manly.
Oh yeah.
I also
Elfman.
like how the show gave him some development, like making him stronger. I also love Juvia. She was loyal to Gray even though he did something wrong, and she's also loyal to the guild. She's never going to betray Fairy Tail. There was also many things in the show I did not expect to happen at all. I love this show so much. It's definitely an anime I recommend, except for some scenes that are a little indecent. Fairy Tail is definitely my top 5 anime, and I hope that the 100-Year Quest becomes an anime, because Fairy Tail can't end. It's too good to end. Now, what I would like to specifically point out is fucking whoever this is, Saifula Norasan wrote that review. You know who else also wrote that review? Valerie Nwanko. You know who else also wrote that review?
Wait, so it's the same.
Wanshi. Somebody here started a copy paste thread.
Oh my god!
How is that a review? It already exists. Why would you copy and paste that same review? That's not an original thought. What the fuck?
Oh man!
I don't see the others that copied and pasted, but the last 3 reviews are literally that same thing. Like someone was like, "Yup, perfect."
I mean,
spelling errors and all.
That's disappointing.
What the fuck, man?
There was one episode. Well, there's a filler or like episode where they do it's Christmas themed, and they all hang out together and they play this game where they put sticks. One of them puts a bunch of sticks in their hands. One of them is marked red for the king. Each round, they put the sticks back in their hand, and they take turns picking out a stick. And essentially, the person who draws the king stick gets to make one rule that someone in the group has to follow, or the entire group has to follow. And that one is definitely one of the more plot heavy episodes where a lot of it is just lewd and like, for example, Natsu, I believe, if I remember this right, Natsu forces Urza to get in a really revealing cat outfit and walk around downtown Magnolia, where the guild's at, and just start meowing randomly.
As soon as you said that, I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead. I have a thing. I need to not forget.
The Juvia gets her stick, and she wants Gray to like cuddle her and seduce her. Let's see. Another one is Gray gets pissed off at Urza for something and demands Urza take off her entire all of her clothes and walk back to her place in the nude. And he's like, "Oh shit! Wait, I'm so sorry. I was mad. I don't want you to do that." She's like, "No, I'll do it." And she just completely strips naked and just walks back to her condo. And you see people like walking by, like, what the hell? And Urza's considered one of the most beautiful women in Magnolia, apparently. So that's a thing. It's a little crazy, especially when you have Wendy in there, and Wendy's a child. So they don't do anything bad with her, thank God. But yeah, it's a very there is plot for the fans. There is plot in this show, which they don't put too much into it, though. And there's not a whole lot of it in the show as a whole, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, fair. There is some that I noticed, but yeah, it's for the most part, it's not too bad. Now, one thing that I totally picked this up earlier, and I forgot to write this down to ask what your thoughts were. The band Magnolia Park. They have a lot of Japanese theme, just stuff like iconography or like their logo. Do you think that was the inspiration for their name? The fact that because it's called Magnolia Park is this area that is in Fairy Tail.
That is.
And as soon as I heard that, I went, wait a fucking minute. Is their whole band name a Fairy Tail reference?
I would love that.
Right?
First
That'd be kind of cool. I'd be all right with that.
Right? Hold on. I'll have to look into that, but I'm looking at it right now. I can't see anything about it. I think Magnolia Park actually might be a real place.
That's also what I was wondering, but they seem like they'd be big fucking anime nerds.
Dude, I could totally see that.
So,
hey, Magnolia Park, hit us up, are you anime fans?
Yeah, I bet you are. There ain't no way you're not.
let us know, hit us up, up, we'll do an interview.
Yeah. But hey, I think that's going to do it for us here today at the Men of Zen. I want to thank Schminkadelic for the use of our intro and outro. I also want to thank him again and again and again because I fucking think I forgot to do that last episode. So I got to make it up for him, Schminkadelic. Sorry, my bad. I think last episode I was just in a big rush. You can check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/the Men of Zen. You can pay us a whole whopping $3 a month, and there's a bunch of bonus episodes on there that we've got some fun shit for you. So please go and support us on that, patreon.com/the Men of Zen. Also check out our partner, W.GG. Use our code 10% off with the code Men of Zen at checkout. Get yourself some energy. Do it for yourself. I know you ain't got none.
Do it for you. Do it for the you that I believe in, that believes in me, that I believe in.
Believe he exists in there somewhere. Get up off that couch, you lazy bones. Just do it. Get yourself some energy with Dubby.
You'll thank us later.
Yeah, or not, but either way, you'll be up and moving. Get that laundry done. Do those dishes.
Yeah, and we got some great things coming up in the works, that we're working on right now, guys. So stay tuned, and
Yeah, so hopefully we got some fun announcements for you here in the near future. But hey, I think that's going to do it for us here. Once again, this has been the Men of Zen. My name is Brent.
I'm Phil.
Stay Zen.